daily dose of politics,
snark, and heavy metal music.
All rise, motherfucker.
for your hosts, Brandon
And Matt.
I belong.
Performer hasn't been provided with a script. As a matter of fact, I have been permitted to choose my own words and discuss my own ideas regarding the choice that we face in the next few weeks. I have spent most of my life as a Democrat. I recently have seen fit to follow another course.
The defense policy of the United States is based on a simple premise. The United States does not start fights. We will never be an aggressor.
As for the peace that we would preserve, I wonder who among us would like to approach the wife or mother whose husband or son has died in South Vietnam and ask them if they think this is a peace that should be maintained indefinitely. There can be no real peace while one American is dying someplace in the world for the rest of us. We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars. And it's been said if we lose that war, and in so doing lose this way of freedom of ours, history will record with the greatest astonishment that those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent its happening. Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the founding fathers.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. You and I must protect and preserve freedom here, or it will not be passed on to our children, and it will disappear everywhere in the world.
If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. And this idea that government is beholden to the people, that it has no other source of power except the sovereign people, is still the newest and the most unique idea in all the long history of man's relation to man. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves. Regardless of their sincerity, their humanitarian motives, those who would trade our freedom for security have embarked on this downward course. They knew that governments don't control things. A government can't control the economy without controlling people. And they know when a government sets out to do that, it must use force and coercion to achieve its purpose.
We, the people. We, the people, tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We, the people, are the driver. The government is the car. Almost all the world's constitutions are documents in which governments tell the people what their privileges are. Our Constitution is a document in which we, the people, tell the government what it is allowed to do.
This administration in Washington has betrayed the working men and women of this country.
I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited. There's a clear cause and effect here that is as neat and predictable as a law of physics. As government expands, liberty contracts.
A recession is when your neighbor loses his job. A depression is when you lose yours. And recovery is when President of the United States loses his.
Someday, when the time comes to deliver the final ultimatum, our surrender will be voluntary, because by that time, we will have been weakened from within spiritually, morally, and economically. The martyrs of history were not fools. Where then is the road to peace? Well, it's a simple answer after all. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the machine. I am Brandon. Matt is not here. He had a prior engagement he had to take care of. He's going to be gone for a while. He's going to be, burning his ass cheeks off because it's going to be 100 fucking degrees for the next 7 days. And he's going to be gone until Sunday, out in it. So, hopefully he comes back in one piece, not drained. But how's everybody doing? I'll tell you what, even with the little air conditioner in here and the fan and everything else like that, it's hot as a motherfucker in here. Seriously, I almost don't even want to wear the cans because my ears are already sweating and I just put them on. Got to fucking send a rescue device from my nuts here in a minute. It's hot as hell in here. Anyhow, mostly what we're going to be doing tonight is I got a whole bunch of audio, and it's mostly to do with DHS Secretary Mayorkas and his incessant failures and his giggling while he's being told how much of a failure he is. He thinks he's doing a great fucking job, and he's doing exactly the opposite. But hey, what do we know? Oh, I bet, Christina, it's pretty smoky. Definitely a bit warm. Yeah, but your air is much drier, PK. Here, we get to add, like 80, 90% humidity constantly to it. Yep, I'm going to be swimming by the time we're done here. I can already feel it soaking through my hat. Anyhow, like I said, we're going to be talking a lot about DHS Secretary Mayorkas. A lot about him, actually. But first, let's see. I had another bit of audio I was going to share with you. Okay, so you obviously know that there's this big fallout when it comes to that song, Try That in a Small Town. I mean, it just seems to be getting worse and worse. And there was one little guy who is probably wishing he never opened his fucking lips at this point. You got to hear this. It's a bad recording, but you got to hear it anyway.
Bitch, I will try that shit in any fucking town. And good old boys, racists, like Jason Aldean ain't gonna do shit. You can fucking...
Mind you, he looks like he's hanging out in some toddler's bedroom wearing a Mario Brothers t-shirt. He's about 135 pounds of bitch, and he's sitting there acting like he's a tough guy. I know he's doing it for likes and all, but he just pissed off pretty much every small town in the country. And it's not going to end well for him.
You're about as useful as a cock-flavored lollipop.
Like I said in my, in one of the videos that I was on with it, he's going to try this shit if he has the balls to get out of his mama's basement for long enough to do so. He's going to walk into some small town, and some guy who's give a fuck has been broken for 20 years is going to beat him until he looks like Sloth from Goonies. He's going to have to learn how to walk and speak English all over again. All because he said something stupid like that on the internet. He'll eventually learn that his words do have consequences. But yeah, this kid went on to, of course, he immediately backpedaled and said, I wouldn't go to any of your towns if you paid me. Like, no. You said you would go and cause violence and general mayhem in any small town in the country because the good old boys ain't going to do shit. Apparently he doesn't know the unwritten rule between city boys and country boys. The city don't come to the country. They know better. Because somebody will stomp his fucking guts out and not even think twice. And of course, you can't forget that he did label anybody at all, including Aldine, but anybody at all in a small town is racist. So I don't think he realizes that it's not just populated by, well, since he's referencing it, white people. Yeah, I'm in a small town, and there's a lot of different types of people here. And I can tell you right now, if some little fucker like that, or a bunch of little fuckers like that, decide to get a pair of testicles and try and come out and do something, it doesn't matter if they pick on the most hated guy in all of the town. The entire town is going to line up like a gauntlet and beat him to death. He's going to learn the hard way. But that was an update. I wanted to share with you guys. I mean, the fallout on everything is just hilarious. The stretch on making that song racist is hilarious. Even read these words. They're racist. How? Doesn't reference any particular group at all in the song. And the video. Well, the video. It's the video. It's the video. Oh, it's the video. Well, here's the thought. When watching the video, it looked as if it wasn't just the people they say this guy's racist against that was in the video. There was a lot of white people in it. But because it was videos of certain types of riots, the BLM riots, that's considered racist. I'm like, well, if you don't want to be made an example of, don't do the dumb shit. Kind of simple. If you didn't want him to use that footage, maybe not be the dumbass doing some dumb shit, and you wouldn't be used as the footage. But anyhow, the song was supposed to be served as a warning that people in small towns don't like to get fucked with. And they won't hold back. Yeah, pigs eat everything but teeth, hair, and fingernails. I don't know how I know that, but... What? But I just felt like saying, something on that just because that little shit keeps popping up, and I couldn't resist. I honestly... just question people's intelligence at this point on just about every level, including that one. Yes, I know. You keep saying Gregory, Texas. I'm well aware of that. Thank you very much. I was just bringing it up because we talked about it last week. We talked about the song and about how everybody's crazy nowadays. And apparently this kid's top on the shit pile of stupidity. I just had to bring that up because it was kind of an update. Let's see. Man, it's hot as fucking hell in here. Okay, so everybody's seen what happened to Mitch McConnell, right? Not a fan of his at all. Wish the man would have retired a long time ago. But I'm going to say the same thing that I said about the big Goonies-looking motherfucker from Pennsylvania. it looked as if it was a medical event. It was a serious medical event, and honestly, by the way, he just looked like he suddenly got hit with something. I'm hoping the poor bastard didn't just have a stroke. He is 81 years of age, but I mean, he just froze like nothing, and he's never done it before. And the reason why I'm saying possible stroke is because if you look at his eyes are glazed over. He did not know what was going on, and that's disturbing. You know, as much as I don't like the guy, I don't wish that kind of shit on nobody. And yeah, that's besides the point, Patriot. I don't like him either. But it's still some serious shit. It's still some medical, looked like a definite medical problem. And I don't wish that on nobody, not even him. I mean, there's a couple people I wish would just get Lou Gehrig's, but, you know, hey. Yeah, but we're better than that. Just remember that. The guy is Senator Mitch McConnell. But he was during a press conference, man. He just straight up Walt Disney. He froze solid and then did not say a word. His eyes glazed over. Yeah, he was having some fucking problems. I'm aware of that, Patriot, but I'm still not wishing any harm to a guy I do not like. Fuck's on my face. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't do shit like that. Well, it could have been, Angie, but I'm just telling you, something's not right because he just went total fucking blank. Like, I've gotten, freaked out on camera before, not on this, but on camera before, and kind of did the Walt Disney and froze. But it was the look on his face. It was almost a look of terror, and his eyes just kind of glazed over. And I'm like, yeah, he's having an issue. But anyhow, enough about that shit. And only because I don't want to get into the next thing right away, I'm going to take a short break already. Just the name of the song, I'm a dick, I know it, but there you go. It's time for a random thought from the Machine Radio Show. This is Brandon from the Machine Radio Show. Aren't taxes like a subscription to your country that you can't cancel, no matter how bad the service gets? This has been your random thought from the Machine Radio Show. Sorry, I had to take a break and move the fan around and stuff like that. I'm trying to get the air to come around the equipment because it, like I said, is hot as fuck in here. I'm doing everything I can because, I got the lights on me. I've got the equipment around me. There's a lot of heat building up in this room. Even with, it's rough. It's getting worse. I'm already getting swamp ass, and I've only been in here a few minutes. Let's see. And I'm willing to bet I didn't finish that fucking clip. So the clip that I want to use right now, I might have to use later. Because I might have to finish screwing with it. Let's see. Not it. Yep, I didn't finish editing this one, so I'm going to have to use it in a bit. I'll have to finish the edit over another break. But we'll get into a little bit more about what I want to talk about tonight anyway, and that's just the icing on the cake of that fucking stupid bitch. I'll explain later. Let's see, which one do we want to go through first? I should have put them in order, but I didn't. That's the one I'll be using later. Mostly, we're going to be talking about the First Amendment. We already know that we're being censored. We know that this show is being censored. We know that we're being actively algorithmed into non-existence, and that we're constantly being watched and edited in some way, shape, or form, and no matter what we say. So that's basically what the basis is of tonight's show, is talking about the First Amendment and about the clips are actually from the Senate here, the hearings with DHS Secretary Mayorkas. Taxes and timeshares have a lot in common. Yeah. You can't seem to cancel them. But one of the, like I said, I've got a lot of audio bites, and most of them are about 5 minutes long, but we're going to bust through some of them. This one is Representative Heavymetal talking about the First Amendment. Let's go ahead and get into that.
The First Amendment to the United States Constitution rests on the principle that no person or institution, including the government, has a monopoly on the truth, and that viewpoint-based suppression of speech by the government is dangerous and may even spell the death of a constitutional republic. Oh, just a few seconds in, and we already know exactly what she's getting at and what it means. Just for those of you who don't know, which if you don't, then something's wrong with you. But the First Amendment is, Congress shall make no laws respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people to peacefully assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. Of course, we're focusing on the freedom of speech part, so Congress shall make no law prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridgment of the freedom of speech or of the press. And of course, there's some idiots in Congress who say, well, that means that only the press have the right to free speech. What the fuck are you talking about? Are you that retarded? Because that's not what that means at all. The First Amendment is to protect our religious freedoms and our obviously our free speech. It is not to hinder that. They got to remember that the Constitution is a document. It is a contract in which the people have these rights within them. The contract is to protect them from the government making rights against it. So what seems to be the deal with them thinking that this is a good idea? I mean, remember, they tried the Disinformation Governance Board. Now you got, CISA and COSA. They're trying to pass COSA again, which is the, oh, damn it, COSA, shit, my brain's shorted. Kids Online Safety Act, which all but takes away any information that people could use to further research. And of course, CISA is what my Dorcas says as a global forensics-driven cybersecurity company. That's not what it is at all. But we'll be getting into that. Like I said, we got a lot of these audio bites that we're going to be getting through, so let's hit the button and keep going.
Under the First Amendment, the government has no power to restrict expression because of its message, its ideas, its subject matter, or its content.
Precisely. See, I may not like what some people say. I may not like what some music is, but freedom of expression, freedom of speech. Well, hey, they have the right to do it. I mean, I find Justin Bieber to be absolutely we're not going to get into that. I find him to be disgusting, and he's still allowed to do his music. People are allowed to say what they want to say. That doesn't mean I have to agree with everything that they say. They still have the right to say it.
As the Supreme Court has explained, if there is any fixed star in our constitutional constellation, it is that no official, high or petty, can prescribe what shall be orthodox in politics, nationalism, religion, or other matters of opinion. Labeling speech misinformation does not strip it of its First Amendment protection. That is so even if the speech is untrue, as some false statements are inevitable if there is to be an open and vigorous expression of views in public and private conversation. In refusing to carve out a First Amendment exception for false speech, the framers of our Constitution recognize the significant danger in making the government the ultimate arbiters of truth. And it is axiomatic.
Okay, so how bad does that sound to you? That the government would be the end-all be-all in what they consider truth. Isn't that exactly what the Founding Fathers were completely against? I don't remember them putting anything in the Constitution that says, well, it's only free speech if the government deems it to be proper speech. I don't remember them saying that. Do you? Can you find it in the Constitution? Can you find it in any of the writings of the Founding Fathers themselves, including, like the Federalist Papers, Anti-Federalist Papers, or anything like that? Can anybody show me where they said, well, if it's not, if the government deems it not true, then it shouldn't be said? Everybody agrees about the beaver, man. I'm telling you, the beaver's terrible. I would say send his ass back to Canada, but I don't think Canada wants him either. All right, we still got 4 minutes of Representative Heavymetal here.
In the words of the Supreme Court, that the government may not induce, encourage, or promote private persons to accomplish what it constitutionally is forbidden to accomplish. Secretary Mayorkas, it was reported in May that the DHS, through the Targeted Violence and Terrorism Prevention Grant Program, is funding groups targeting conservatives and equating them to domestic terrorists. Originally intended to combat foreign terrorist organizations' operations in the U.S., it has become yet another government tool weaponized against citizens to violate First Amendment protection protected affiliations and speech. One grant to the University of Dayton for a program titled Prevents O hosted a seminar titled Extremism, Rhetoric, and Democratic Precarity. One of the speakers, a known Antifa member, as part of his presentation shared a pyramid of far-right radicalization, which likened the Republican Party to the Heritage Foundation, the American Conservative Union, Fox.
I'm going to pause that for a second because I got to find that. I accidentally exited out earlier of that pyramid.
So give me 1 second. I got to find it. One moment. It won't take me but a second to find it because I had it up earlier. Yeah, I'm looking at the pyramid right now. I need to send this out to you guys. I need to actually post it on the machine, Facebook and stuff like that so you guys can see it. But the symbols are hilarious. Let's see. I bet your dough would like to spank him around Bieber. Yeah, he probably would. Yes, they're making rules for thee, but not for me. That's exactly what they're doing. The only problem is the government does not have that right to do so. Can you believe they voted down Rand Paul's bill saying the other agreements did not supersede the Constitution? Yes, I can. I can believe that completely, especially after seeing the pyramid here. Because the number one on the pyramid, by the way, is the American Conservative Union Foundation, Fox News, the Heritage Foundation, National Rifle Association, JBS, CBN, and the Republican symbol. These are all hate symbols. Then in second place, you have the Make America Great Again hat. Breitbart, the Proud Boys. You know, I can understand why a Antifa member would put the Proud Boys up there because the Proud Boys up there were the answer to Antifa being able to run freely. They no longer can. PragerU, because, you know, of course you'd have to have PragerU. The 3% symbol. The thin blue line. Okay, I'm going to give them this one. InfoWars. I'm sorry, but that one can stay. Turning Point USA and Quillette. That's number 2. Number 3 is a couple of Nordic symbols, including the Black Sun symbol, the swastika, AIM, the Daily Stormer, stuff like that. Yeah, that's extreme, but not in the way that they're putting it. And then there's some on number 4, you know, a few other symbols that have nothing to do with extremism. No, I'm not surprised at all. I know you guys aren't either. But that's the pyramid. I'm going to have to share the pyramid, but let's keep going. We still got 3 minutes of her.
News, Breitbart News, the National Rifle Association, Prager University, Tea Party Patriots, the MAGA movement, and the pro-police Blue Lives Matter movement, and the...
Well, why would they have the... let's back up just a little bit.
Conservative Union, Fox News, Breitbart News, the National Rifle Association, Prager University, Tea Party Patriots, the MAGA movement, and the pro...
Yeah, the Tea Party Patriots and stuff like that, and the National Rifle Association. That's considered extreme. Do they even know what the National Rifle Association actually stands for or why it came to be in the first place? Apparently, they seem to forget that the entire reason for the National Rifle Association was to make sure that everybody was able to utilize their Second Amendment rights. People of all color. The NRA came to being to protect the rights. Yeah, it boggles, you know, it boggles my mind. They have no idea what the fuck they're talking about, but let's keep going.
Police Blue Lives Matter movement and the Christian Broadcasting Network as the first steps on path leading to Nazism and militant neo-Nazism, among other appalling ideologies and groups.
Well, see, there's a lot of problems with that. The Nazis did not appreciate freedom of speech, hence the Goebbels experiment. They did not appreciate that anybody outside of the party was able to have a firearm. And there was no freedom of press again with the Goebbels experiment.
So the fact that they equate these things to that particular movement is just a complete idiocy. It really is.
This presenter reportedly also taught tactics on how to pressure the removal of conservatives from platforms, and he's even quoted as saying, "A lot of things we are doing are illegal, and a lot of it involves breaking the law." Secretary Mayorkas, does the affiliation with conservative or Christian beliefs make someone a Nazi or a domestic terrorist?
Of course not.
Okay. Then if that's so, why is your agency targeting Americans who are Christians and conservatives?
We are not.
Okay.
Bullshit.
Secretary Mayorkas, when did you become aware that the University of Dayton was implementing your grant funding program to target conservatives and Christians?
It is my understanding that it is not.
When did you become, so you're not aware of that?
No, it is my understanding that it is not.
You're unaware of the information that has been produced, and have you ever seen the pyramid that it's up on the screen right now?
I learned about the individual speaker's comments, with which I profoundly disagree.
Okay, so when did you find out about the speaker's comments?
I don't quite recall, Congresswoman.
All right, well, you know what?
You don't recall
Mr.
anything.
Mayorkas, I actually really want to thank you as well for coming here today, for your performance. I have watched with absolute fascination as you have danced and dodged and lied. Yes, lied. We know you've lied. You know you've lied. But more importantly, the American public knows that you lied throughout your testimony today. And yet you believe that you and your fellow architects of the censorship industrial complex think that you should be able to determine what is and isn't true, and what is and isn't untrue. You are the walking, talking epitome of the very tyrant that our forefathers recognized would gravitate towards government service. And it is because of people like you that they drafted the First Amendment. Yep. I thank them for their foresight. I thank them for recognizing that you and people like you would do everything in your power to control speech, to control freedom, to take away our rights. And they've written a document that isn't going to allow you to do that. Unfortunately, we still have courts and judges who recognize that you don't have the power that you are attempting to take, that you do not have the right to limit our freedom of speech, our freedom of association, our right to communicate. Thank God we have the First Amendment so that we can stop you from doing what you've been doing. With that, I yield back.
Well, like I said, remember, they're still trying to pass COSA. They've already got the organization known as CISA, or SHISA, whatever the fuck you want to call it. These are the same people that were pushing for the Disinformation Governance Board, among other things. It's kind of like a V for Vendetta type, where the van, comes around and suppresses your speech. But I heard that they actually have an anthem. Yeah, they got their own song and everything. I wasn't aware of this. It was sent to me earlier. So let's listen to their anthem. Yeah, that sounds about right. That's absolutely perfect. I mean, because when you got people like Mayorkas in office there, supposedly being Homeland Security, I mean, I'm telling you, Goebbels and Stalin and Mao and several others would just absolutely be proud. I mean, the Pravda. For the Russians, the Goebbels experiment for the Germans, Mao, I forgot what the name of his was, but yeah, it sounds an awful lot like that, where the government is the end all be all to anything that has to do with speech. You do not have any thoughts of your own. They will give you what they think you should understand and what you should know. That's the exact opposite of what our fucking Constitution says for us. Yes, it was a Nazi Party song, and yes, I used the part where they were talking about the swastika banner hanging all over everything. Yep, because they seem to have a banner too. Let me see. I got 1, 2, 3, at least 4 more of those to go. By the way, plus the audio bite that I need to finish editing over a break. If I can do that, I don't know if I can. But Representative Mike Johnson actually jumps in and takes a giant shit on Mayorkas too. Actually, everybody did. I couldn't really find any ones that don't have. They weren't crapping on him. I mean, not many people were on his side, that's for damn sure. This is Mike Johnson.
The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Louisiana.
Secretary Mayorkas, we have the frustrating responsibility on this committee of providing oversight of your agency, but I have to be honest and tell you I'm not sure exactly what you do at the Department of Homeland Security other than great harm. On your watch, the data is pretty clear. We've had record levels of illegal immigration, a rapid decline in deportations, skyrocketing fentanyl deaths across our country, and the Secret Service, which is a DHS component, can't determine who left cocaine at the White House. In the middle of all this, you created the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency, CISA, which is a division of DHS. And it's one of the Biden administration agencies that colluded with and coerced the social media companies to censor Americans' protected free speech online.
Yep.
That's specifically detailed in a 155-page court opinion that came out of the federal court in Louisiana in the landmark litigation of Missouri v. Biden. Have you read that court opinion?
Congressman, I have not, and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency does not censor speech.
Okay, well, that's the court found otherwise, and it's really curious to me. Actually, it's quite alarming that you haven't read.
He really said that. He really said that they don't censor speech. Even after all the documentation, like this gentleman said, is the case for Missouri that was seen throughout the country, where they did just that, where the government agencies like DHS were contacting Twitter and Facebook and wherever else that they could, and telling them that they will not allow certain things. And, well, they said they were just suggestions. No, they weren't suggestions. They were being told by a government agency to not allow it so people couldn't see it. They were told to suppress the freedom of speech. Sorry, the dog just decided to come in. Hey, how you doing, baby? Come here. Come on up, say hi. How you doing? You know, I'm in. Yes, I love you too. I'm in the middle of a show though, so you're gonna have to go and do something like, you know, play in traffic or something. I don't know, but. Aww. All right, girl, get down. Come on, you gotta get down. Get down. Okay, we one moment. Nope, not the microphone. Go on, girl. Good girl. All right. So back to Mike Johnson here.
Read the opinion because your agency is listed in this opinion. The federal court looked at volumes of evidence over months of litigation, and they determined, among other things, that if the allegations made by the plaintiffs, the states in this case, are true, and hold on, the preliminary injunction was granted against your agency, sir, and other Biden administration agencies, including the DOJ and FBI. The court said it involves the most massive attack against free speech in United States history. And you're telling me this opinion issued July 4th has not reached your desk? No one's briefed you on it?
Oh, I have been briefed on the Missouri litigation.
Okay, but you haven't taken the time to read it yet.
By the way, that is one of my FOIA requests. You know, the stack's getting like this fucking big, but this is one of my FOIA requests among the myriad of other things when it comes all the way back to my historian stuff with World War I and World War II, information I want from certain things there. But it's also this case, the freedom of speech, and then, of course, the J6 stuff.
yes, I've filed FOIA requests for a lot of things, and so far I've only got maybe 1 or 2 back, and most of them are redacted so badly that the only thing you can see on the paper is my fucking name. So, a little bit at a time, people. Try and do the best I can. It's actually the guy who owns the studio's dog, and I'm brain farting as to what her name is. So you're going to forgive me for that.
Congressman,
No, hold on. Have you read it or not?
I have read parts of it,
Oh,
Congressman.
parts of it. Did you read the parts where it said that this is Orwellian and dystopian and that your agency is involved in a massive cover-up of specifically conservatives' free speech online?
Congressman, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency is not involved in such conduct.
Okay, well, the court found otherwise, and you stand here under oath and you give us these answers that we know are not true because this is demonstrably untrue. I'm suggesting to you that you're saying things to us under oath that are proven by the record to be untrue. Let me ask you about this specifically. CISA was created to, we call it the Misinformation and Disinformation Subcommittee of CISA. You familiar with that? MDM, the MDM subcommittee, you familiar with that?
Congressman, I am very well aware of the threat of disinformation emanating from adverse nations.
Are you familiar with the
We're
subcommittee?
not-
Just answer the question.
We're not talking about adverse
Does it
nations.
still exist?
You little prick.
Congressman, are you speaking of the...
Does the MDM subcommittee still exist?
I would have to get back to you on that.
Okay. All right. Kind of a big deal in your agency. I'm kind of shocked that you don't know the answer to that. Can you define what misinformation is?
Congressman, misinformation is false information that is disseminated to...
Excellent. Who determines what is false?
Congressman, our focus...
No, who
Wait for
determines what is false in your agency?
Congressman,
If you're going to pull something off the internet and collude with a social media platform to make sure Americans don't see it, who determines what's false?
Congressman, we don't do that.
That's not true. That is not true. That is not what the court has found. This is not a Republican talking point. This is what the documents show. We've had people testify under oath that say, and you just defined the term, you're telling me that you don't know who determines what is false?
Congressman, what we do at CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, is identify the tactics that adverse nation states use to weaponize disinformation.
Okay, what is
The American-
disinformation? What is disinformation?
Disinformation is inaccurate information.
Who determines what's inaccurate? Who determines what's false? Do you understand the problem here? The reason the framers of our Constitution did not create an exception for quote-unquote false information from the First Amendment is because they didn't trust the government to determine what it is. And you have whole committees of people in your agency trying to determine what they define as false or misinformation.
That is not true.
Well, then what is true?
What we
Please
do
enlighten us.
is what we do is we disclose the tactics that adverse nation states are utilizing to weaponize
Like
No,
our
sir.
own.
No, sir. The court found specifically, it's a finding of fact that is not disputed by the government defendants, the Biden administration, your agency, the FBI, or DHS, not in the litigation. They determined you and all of your cohorts made no distinction between domestic speech and foreign speech. So don't stand there and tell me under oath that you only focused on adversaries around the world, foreign actors. That's not true.
Congressman, the Missouri case, litigation to which you refer, is the subject of continuing litigation.
But the facts were not disputed, and I so regret that I'm out of time. I hope I get some more yield that I yield back.
Oh, and like I said, we're just getting started with this shit because I've got several more that's got to be gone through. But, so what do you think so far? Do you think he's telling the truth? That they're just making sure that, outside entities aren't, screwing with our system and using what they consider disinformation and weaponizing it? Do you think that's what's going on? Or do you think the government is watching us and censoring us, and their plan is to further do it right out in the open? See, their entire goal is to silence the opposition, and the opposition is us. And as much as the progressives seem to think that the government is working for them, they are a part of that too. See, any censorship that they do
is going to censor them too. It's not going to censor just us. It's going to be majority us, but they're going to be censored too. Their free speech will be suppressed, but they're not smart enough to figure that out. Yeah, Snowden had some thoughts, but he also had some crazy thoughts too. There's a few things that even he was off the charts on, but I agree with what you're saying there. I honestly do. Let's see, what is that? Violating the constitutional rights, not of foreign nations, but of us citizens. The courts have actual documents, and this shithead is lying under oath. Yeah, well, it comes up that they're probably going to try to impeach him, actually. Yeah, the problem is they want to censor us only online because they think that's the only way people communicate. They don't realize that some of us are actual pricks, and we will go out on the town square, stand on a fucking soapbox, and yell it if we have to. And that will bring up press. They can't silence everybody, and they can't silence us permanently. On that note, I'm going to take a break.
I got a bounty on my head, they wanna take me out. I got a pocket full of glitches, circuits shorting out. They say the truth will set you free, but freedom's everything you pay for. Sacrificing time just to stay alive and waste more. The reaper coming, it's spooky season on the block, and you know seasons change, but I'm still gunning off of the top. They say I'll never make it, just let them know I'll never stop until they kill me. My heart don't do no sentimental drops, bitch. It's taking its toll. Chosen one, but did you think you was the only one? We going back to the basics. We are so high, we in stasis. Feel like some rats and cages. Back to back, we gotta lay 'em flatter than a blackjack. Got the scope better, we'll attach that. See the option, we track that. Never backtrack, just attack that. Got the stick in the hands now. Like a back, like a Ichigo Bankai in a flashback. Another flashback, get the cash back. Heavy metal, I played at Mad Max. It's taking its toll. Leave me out in the cold.
What you listening to?
The Machine Radio Show.
What did you say?
I didn't stutter. I said
The Machine Radio Show.
You just blew my mind.
You're welcome.
And I'm back, and I'm still trying to edit this. I need it. I think I'm pretty much done with it. It may not be perfect, but I kind of need the audio, so. There. Okay, let's see if that actually works, because we're going to need that here in a bit. Actually, you know what? We'll use it now because we're talking about the First Amendment, among other things that Mayorkas is shitty at. So let's go ahead and use this, actually. All right, where'd it go? That is not it. There it is. Okay, so you're not going to be surprised at what party this particular representative is from, and you're not going to be surprised at where they're from at state-wise, especially after you hear this this audio clip.
No right given to the people of the United States is absolute, and that includes the right to free speech. We are not trying to censor speech. We are simply trying to create factually correct information to prevent harm to people.
It was.
So let's listen to that first part again.
No right given to the people of the United States is absolute, and that includes the right to free speech.
Actually, it is absolute. That is what the Constitution is for, is to make sure that we have these rights independent of the government, that the government cannot tell you what you can and cannot say. That's exactly what that fucking document is for. So they are absolute. And yes, Democrat California, you got it right. You know, I already asked this earlier, but tell me, anybody, just one of you, tell me which founding father said, you know, in case of information, bad information, that we should let the government run the First Amendment, the free speech. We should make sure that it's not so much free speech as a suggestion of free speech. You know, give the people a little bit of a bone there. Can you tell me if any of them said that? I'm just wondering, because I keep trying to find all this stuff where the government is pulling, and that seems to be the new thing now. That started this year. Remember, Biden said the Second Amendment is not absolute, and she's like, the First Amendment is not absolute. I was like, holy shit! You need to start reading the Constitution, you fucking wench. I mean,
One crazy ass bitch.
yeah, the intrinsic rights given to us by God and secured by that document. And the most fucked up thing of all is there's people in this country that stand with, like, Sanchez and several others and say, oh yes, we should definitely suppress freedom of speech. We should definitely edit the Second Amendment out of existence. I wonder when we're going to go as far as just start quartering soldiers in houses again. You know, just be like, hey, they're going to stay here. You can't do anything about it. You know, there's an amendment for that too. Yeah, General Cornwallis, yeah. We shot them. Gotta write down and remember which ones I've already played so I don't continue screwing up here. Okay, so we did Hageman and Johnson and Sanchez. Old dirty Sanchez there. Let me see. So we got Van Drew, Andy. You know, let's go into the whole border stuff now. We'll use Andy Biggs first, and then we'll get into me see, who else was it? Van Drew. Right, Matt. Matt says, don't you just love our governments? What would we do without them? Exactly.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for being here today. Mr. Shainleben, it seems to me that one of the core American values is the rule of law. Would you agree with that?
One moment. That's the wrong one. We're going to go with the other guy. We're going to go with the other one first. We'll go with Van Drew, and then we'll get to that one. Sorry.
One more, and then we got to go to votes on the floor, and then we'll come back after that. Mr. Van Drew is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Mayorkas, we stand here yet again to address a crisis that you've continued to make worse. As Secretary of Homeland Security, the American people have entrusted you with the security of their communities and the security of their nation. You have failed them. Our southern border has been turned into a revolving door for illegal immigration, drug trafficking, human trafficking, and threats to our national security. Is this the America we want? An America where every town is a border town? An America where our communities, infrastructure, and resources are strained under the weight of unchecked illegal immigration? We know the answer. Our constituents know the answer. The answer is no. The reality is that under your leadership, you've created the largest border crisis in the history of the United States of America. A crisis so badly handled that the International Organization, and I want everybody to listen to this, the International Organization for Migration labeled our southwest border as, quote, the deadliest land crossing in the world, end quote.
Yep.
Unbelievable for America.
Not wrong.
Are you aware of how many illegals have been encountered at our border and how many known gotaways have escaped into America? And I just want the numbers.
Congressman, you speak of the Southwest.
Sir, I just want the numbers.
And the challenge of migration that we face.
Thank you. I appreciate your answer. It's 5.6 million illegal alien encounters and 1.5 million known gotaways. How about the number of aliens on the terrorist screening database who've been caught? Not the ones who haven't been caught, but the ones who've been caught just in the last 9 months. Do you know that number?
I'm very pleased to provide that to you.
I do. It's 140. Thank you. How about the number unaccompanied minors processed in FY23? Do you know that number?
Similarly, Congressman, I'd be very pleased.
Thank you. I know that number myself. It's 152,000. We have seen a continuous surge of fentanyl coming from China, being distributed by Mexican drug cartels and destroying countless American lives. Are you aware of how many Americans died? How many Americans died in 2021 at the hands of fentanyl?
I am aware of those numbers, Congressman.
71,000. 71,000 human souls. These numbers are staggering, and they are a direct result of your actions as Secretary. Actions that have dismantled effective immigration policies and broken the rule of law. Your lies to Congress and the American people that put American citizens in danger every single day. And in my mind, this makes your actions criminal. All of this leaves us at a crossroads, a moment in time where our actions will define the future of the United States of America. This is a call to action, a call to restore sanity at our borders and safety in our communities, a call to ensure that every town in America is no longer a border town. In the words of Ronald Reagan, quote, "A nation that cannot control its borders is not a nation," end quote. The time for action is now. Congress cannot stand by. So we arrive at an inevitable conclusion that I do not take lightly. Secretary Mayorkas, you must resign. Will you resign?
No, I will not. I am incredibly proud of the work that is performed.
I understand.
In the Department of
Secretary Mayorkas, if you will not resign, that leaves us with no other option. You should be impeached. And I yield back to the chair.
Yeah, he needs to be kicked out of office because he is a walking disaster. That border has been, like they said, unprecedented. But then again, when you give people this free stuff packet that people like him like to push out,
Then they wonder why the borders are getting flooded. It's all by design. I'm telling you it is. And he's trying to make it to where they can expedite the procedures to get people who are here illegally. They want it expedited so that way they can become legal citizens instantly. That's what his goal is. No, really, there isn't any border. You're right about that. But before we get into the final audio here, let's go ahead and take a break.
Hey lefties, liberals, and progressives. This is not a safe space. I repeat, this is not a safe space.
If you are one of those squishies who are easily offended, put on your safety pins, pussy hats, and leave this radio station. Or you can free yourself and get educated.
Well, hell yeah! I tried to twist him up, but he wouldn't have it. Hell no. This old boy's wow. We about to have to keep this one.
You are listening to the Machine Radio Show with your hosts, Brandon
and Matt.
Talking about a bunch of hobos with fingers in each other's pooper in a stranger's car with talk radio playing really loud. It's going to be a nice evening.
Okay, shit just got real weird. I think I'm going to need a safe space.
What the? Are those friends of yours, Matt?
Oh, hell no.
Are you sure?
Oh, shut your dumpster and start the show already.
Well, all right, pissy pants. Let's do everything you want to do. And I'm back, and we've only got one more audio bite to go, thankfully. As soon as I remember which one that was. I think it was Andy Biggs that we needed. I guess I'll find out when I start playing it, if it's the same one or not. I'm having a great fucking night. A lot of things on my mind, but, you know, it is what it is.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for being here today. Mr. Shainlaban.
Yes, is it.
It seems to me that one of the core American values is the rule of law. Would you agree with that? How about you, Mr. Fabricatore?
Yes, absolutely, sir.
Mr. Bautista, that rule of law, core, right?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Rosenberg, you'd agree with that as well.
As we hear, no one is above the law.
Mr. Fabricatore, am I saying that right, Fabricatore?
Fabricatore, yes, sir.
Fabricatore. Here's my question for you, and that is, how many people who enter between the ports of entry without legal documents have violated U.S. law?
They violate the law the minute that they enter the country by crossing around the ports of entry.
Everyone.
Which is why we call them illegals. But remember, it's the Democrats. No, they're just undocumented immigrants. No, they're illegals. They illegally cross the border. That makes them an automatic criminal the second they walk in. Not rocket science. We know why you want to change the language, because they're your new voters.
Yes.
Everyone.
Every single one.
Every one of those 2 million gotaways that Mr. Rosenberg told us about. Is that consistent
2
with
million.
the rule of law?
No, sir, it is not.
Let's put that in perspective real quick. Let's say all 2 million of them are military-aged males. Our military in strength is around 1 million, maybe even a little less. We just imported 2 million. Don't know where they are. Gotaways, just gone. Vanished like a fart in the wind.
So here's another question, and Mr. Rosenberg touched on it, and you touched on it a little bit, so it's really critical here. People who are in this country illegally, who commit an additional crime against a citizen or someone who is here legally, if they were not in this country illegally, would they have been able to commit that crime?
No, they would not have been.
So a crime prevention strategy would be to enforce the law and secure the border, would it not?
Yes.
Yes, sir, it would be.
Do you know whether Secretary Mayorkas has told members of ICE and limited their authority on executing removal orders on the more than 1.4 million people who already have a removal order in this country?
Yes, through his priorities, he has limited that.
Tell me how so.
Well, the priorities state that we're not to go after just final orders that don't have recent criminal backgrounds or criminal backgrounds at all. So you're just allowing that to keep growing and growing.
So we passed H.R. 2 out of this body. It languishes in the Senate. Doesn't fix every problem with border security, but it makes a start. We have a Secretary of Homeland Security that has told ICE to stand down. that we have a Secretary of Homeland Security who is engaged in a catch and release program. You know what he has said is his priorities? Any one of you know what he said one of his priorities is? He has said it's to make illegal immigration more humane, to expedite those who enter our country illegally. Does that sound like the rule of law to you, Mr. Rosenberg?
Nope.
Not at all.
How about you, Mr. Batiste? Does that sound like the rule of law?
Not in following the letter of the law, no.
Mr. Shane Liebman?
No, sir.
Mr. Fabric Authority?
Absolutely not, sir.
So we're left when the chief law enforcement officer, the head of the DHS in this country, says, stand down, don't enforce the law. I have trouble accepting the notion that those who come into this country illegally, they enter this country illegally, regardless of motivation, understand and accept our adherence to the rule of law. And I'll tell you what, if you have people who don't understand the rule of law and its importance, you cannot have freedom, because it facilitates what every one of you know. The Billy bad guys will be able to go free, they'll be undeterred, and they will go after and cause havoc and mayhem. I'm not saying everybody who comes to this country illegally is going to commit an additional crime, but they are born under a crime entering this country illegally. And I want to mention real quick, Marianne Mendoza, whose son Brandon Mendoza, police officer, killed by, and I know Mr. Batista knows the Phoenix area, on a valley freeway. This individual illegally into the country, drunk, driving for literally miles and miles, runs into Mr. Mendoza, or Mr. Runnebeck, Steve Runnebeck's son Grant, who was killed by an illegal alien who put a gun to his head because he didn't provide him change fast enough at the convenience store. No, they don't share our core values.
No, they do not. The AR doesn't even kick. You can hold it with one hand. But they wouldn't be necessarily with that. They'd be probably more of the AK type. Because it seems that the Chinese and the Russians like to give the AKs to everybody. And the puppy's back. Hey, when I'm done with the show, I will let you go do your thing, okay? Not until then. Yeah, I'm looking at tag. Yeah. Good puppy. The AR does not stand for automatic rifle, you crackhead. It stands for Armalite rifle. It's the name of the manufacturer who made the rifle. It is not automatic rifle. What, you think I would wait to correct that? Because that's a big problem that, you know, that seems to be going around, that they think that means automatic rifle. Well, it could be Proud American. They just keep trying to change the definition of it to make it sound more scary.
Yep. Let me see, one moment here. We'll go ahead and take a break because I think that's all I've got for DHS Secretary Mayorkas. We already know that he's a piece of shit and that things are going absolutely horrible. As much as they try to spin it otherwise, especially with the crazy-headed weird lady, it's just not going to work. The numbers are out there, and like they said, there's several cases in which the information is 100% truthful and out there. So they really don't have a leg to stand on. But believe me when I say they're going to try and do anything that they can to switch us around in one way, shape, or form. That's just what they do because they have an agenda and they're going to push it as hard as they can. Trying to find something I haven't played for a really long time. Ah, fuck it. I like this one.
You, sir, are not one of my vassals. Who are you?
I am the machine.
What? I'm the machine! Okay!
You are listening to The Machine Radio Show.
Not your daddy's conservative talk radio.
Who the fuck do you think you are?
I'm the machine! Fuck that bitch business.
Fuck yeah!
Tonight you party with us, yes?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Skate.
And I'm back, and man, I'm really starting to sweat underneath these headphones. It's just running down my sides of my neck. What the fuck? Yeah, I would do that. I would totally do that. Somebody sent me something I had to take a look at real quick. Let's see. Anyhow, that was all I really had for tonight. I was not very well prepared. I kind of knew the show was going to go into the fucking toilet, so I didn't prepare that much. I've had too much shit to do and a lot of things on my mind, so I apologize for wasting your time by coming here and listening to me say bullshit. But that being said, we've got time to say nothing but bullshit, so what are we going to talk about? We've got like a half an hour to kill. Aside from the fact that we have stoners in the fucking chat room. Hot take on Hunter. Well, I'm glad that there's a judge out there that, well, although female, has a pair of testicles and actually said no to the deal because it doesn't make any fucking sense. So thankful to that judge for making sure that at least some sort of law is going to be, you know, it's going to get done half-assed properly at least. Funny as hot as it is in here that all the ice is melted and it tastes like it's been here for a month. Let's see. Yeah, I was looking that up because I was trying to remember what she said. But it says, judge says she's not ready to accept Hunter Biden's plea deal. Judge Mary Ellen Norica, I think that's how you say her name, demanded that the lawyers from both sides make clear that the deal does not convey broad immunity over to Biden from prosecution on his business dealings. In other words, she's trying to make sure that he does get held accountable for any crimes that he may have done, at least up to a certain point. Man, it's miserable, this thing. All right, what else we got? What else can we talk about for now? So like I said, we've got a considerable amount of time and nothing to talk about. I mean, I can end the show early. It's not going very well anyway, so I could do that. Oh, good deal. Sherman says he's going to be reading about Switzerland's role during World War II. It's mostly monetary. There's a reason why they say, people have the expression, I'm going to hold on to it like a Swiss banker. Yeah. They didn't just hide the money for the Nazis, actually. They hid the money for a lot of people. There were some of the same banks where Jewish families were actually had their money in there, and so did the Third Reich. Yeah, so they held on to everything. They didn't care. They did not discriminate on whose money they were going to take. Yeah, I prefer the knife. Proud American says he prefers the cheese. I prefer the knife. Hey, who doesn't like Swiss cocoa too, huh? Come on now. Swiss chocolates. Yeah, we'll hear from him, and we'll probably hear from him quickly. Christine asked about the soldier who ran into North Korea. Korea. That's the word. Aside from being a complete jackass, yeah, we're going to hear from him again, but chances are he's going to be trying to give the North Koreans anything they want. So I think if we do get him back, that he probably needs to be interrogated by us as well, and then probably prosecuted and thrown into a federal pen. Anything else? Somebody sends me stuff and it just starts playing on its own. Oh yeah, he'll be right home. You know it. Man, it's just friggin' it's getting to be unbearable here. I actually almost want to stop just to get out of this. Seriously, I don't have anything else, guys. Come on. Ending property taxes for everyone because no one should have to keep paying for something that they already own. There's a lot of taxes on that that could be done. Because that seems to be normal now, that we pay taxes on top of taxes for taxes that need more taxes. And just think, this entire country started over a 3% tax on tea. The only problem is Christina. Christina says ATF just took frames and receivers to SCOTUS. It's not going to matter because it's not run through Congress, so therefore it's not a law, so therefore they can't do anything, enforce anything with it. Same thing with the pistol braces and everything else like that. It just can't be done. Well, Brian, Hunter will probably take on any crack. He doesn't care. Come on, give me something else. Proud American coin coming soon. No, Christina, I get it. She says, I'd like to say that once they make a ruling, we could settle it, but is it ever settled? Absolutely not. Their inevitable goal is to, since they know they can't get rid of the Second Amendment, they are going to regulate it out of existence. They're going to make it to where it's just basically only good on paper. That is their goal. I haven't really discovered any new ones, Sherman. I asked if I discovered any more new metal bands. Not really, but I've discovered some songs from other metal bands that I haven't listened to that I've now got on my playlist. Am I reading any books? No, I'm reading some paperwork that I've got that I have to decipher because it's in another language. And I haven't had time to actually crack open any of the books that I do own. Oh, podcast on nuclear incidents. There's several of those out there. There is quite a few of them, actually. Don't remember who I was listening to, because I don't really sit down and watch them. I mostly just listen to them because I'm too busy to actually stop. I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that because I can't remember for some reason, for the life of me, what the name of it is. Actually, I got a whole list. I'm going to get into... give me 1 second. I'll give you a couple of the ones I've been listening to. Let's see if I can get into my programming. Let's see. The Loads Ghetto documentary, the harrowing story of 1944, Treblinka's last survivors, the beginnings of the concentration camps, testimony and rescue resistance and survival. Let's see. Yeah, that's just a few I got. I know that I got listed that I could tell you about here that you need to check out because they're pretty full of information. Yeah, I've seen a lot about that, especially with the bodies from Chernobyl. Christine says the guy who does the post-mortem had to attach his tools to big poles because the bodies were so radioactive. Yeah, that was one of the big things with a lot of the bodies that they pulled from Chernobyl. In fact, most of them they weren't even able to really check. They should, because they didn't know what radiation, over amounts of radiation can actually do to the human body, and maybe somehow to counteract it. But they just got rid of them. Negative. I haven't decided to watch Oppenheimer yet. No. Putin is promising Africa grain. Well, good luck. I don't know where he's going to get it from. Yeah, exactly, Christina, because he sure is fucking going to get it from the Ukraine. Speaking of Ukraine, I didn't get to share with you guys my keys. See, I've heard of some people already talking about the Oppenheimer movie, and I'm not sure if it's going to be one that I want to watch now. I was excited right up until they told me that it was not necessarily truthful, historically speaking, and that bugs me. Anyhow, a friend of mine over there sent me an interesting keychain. I didn't even know it was coming. It's awesome. It's a piece of metal. It says made in Russia, recycled in Ukraine on one side. On the other side, it's upside down. Just flip that over. On the other side, it's a photo of a T-72 tank. It's T-72 number 583. This is a piece of a Russian T-72 that was blown up out on the outskirts of Kyiv. Christina, I'll look into that. I'll definitely look into that. But while you were asking about some of the videos that I just listed, the Loads Ghetto documentary, which is LODZ, the Loads Ghetto documentary, it's Shoshana Rosa Cohen that has it on their listing. The harrowing story of 1944 Treblinka's last survivors is actually a world history documentary. The beginnings of the concentration camps is Criminals and Crime Fighters. Well, like I said, according to what some of my people have said that have already seen the movie, they said I'll probably get a little angry because it won't be 100% historically accurate. That annoys me because it has Oppenheimer's name on it. It needs to be told as it was really happening. Okay, why did you scramble on me, you son of a bitch? There we go. Yes, Arnie Gunderson. I've actually got paperwork on him. Obviously not here. It's at my place, but. Well, I get annoyed, even with like Band of Brothers, which is one of my favorite series, and Band of Brothers of the Pacific, and several other movies. I know it's a movie, and I still find myself picking it apart when I watch it. Cecil Kelly, I don't know if I have anything on them. I've heard of that. I just don't know if I have anything personally. You know, again, I've lost a lot of information over the over some of this stuff. Ugh. Well, you know what? Just thinking about it, though, one of the things that I lost, though, of my collection was a piece of Trinitite. I'd like to get me another piece of that from the Trinity experiment. Find my outro here because I think we're just gonna go ahead and end this. It's getting boring. Not you guys. I'm just not feeling it. There we go. Kyle Hill is pretty good. I've seen a couple of things that were questionable from him, but for the most part, yeah, I like what he does. I forgot how many of his videos I've actually watched, though. Mind you, most of my research is not even of that era, so I don't have a whole lot on it, but I do try to, things that interest me, I try to learn more about. But anyhow, I think I am done for the night. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining me once again. All few of you that actually did tonight. I don't blame you. Tonight's show was shit. But, you know, it does happen. Not every show is gold. Sometimes we have bad days just like anybody else. This isn't our job. It's our hobby. We do love what we do, but sometimes life just has a way to get in the way. Will I be going to a gig in the near future? No, I will be going to a speech August 5th. That's about all I'll be doing. But like I said, anyhow, I am definitely going to get out of here. I got to get these headphones off. I'm going to be honest with you. My ears are swimming inside these things. I'm surprised they're not shorting from the amount of sweat that's down inside of them right at the moment.
But thank you guys again for joining me. Hopefully next week will go better, smoother, and faster. And we'll have more to talk about because I'll be more prepared. With that being said, I will see you guys later.